We are on Perek Yud Gimel Pasuk Tes. Okay, yesterday we were speaking about the battle, and Avram Avinu goes, and we left off with a question. Perek Yud Dalet Pasuk Chaf Dalet. Yud Dalet Chaf Dalet, which is on page 64. So Avram Avinu comes out of this battle, and he defeats these kings, and then he comes back. And the first person he meets is Malki Tzedek Melech Sholem. And Malki Tzedek Melech Sholem is pick it up on Pasuk Yud Ches for a second. Malki Tzedek Melech Sholem, Malki Tzedek, the king of a place called Sholem, which is Yerushalayim. Hotzi lechem v'yayin. He brought out bread and wine. Who kohen lekel elyon. He was a high priest. He served God. So this Malki Tzedek greets Avram Avinu, and Rashi brings on the measure. This was Shem, the son of Noach. Shem ben Noach. This is him, and he gives Avram Avinu the bread and the wine. So I saw one of the commentaries says the bread and the wine represents. We spoke yesterday about the two tests that a person could face. You could face the test of wealth and the test of poverty. Bread represents poverty. That's the most basic thing that you need to eat. You need to have bread. Wine is, like the rich man's drink. So Malki Tzedek is paying tribute to Avram Avinu, and he's making a statement, and we said yesterday that Lot passed the test of poverty, but he failed the test of wealth. And he's paying tribute to Avram Avinu that Avram Avinu has passed both tests. He's a poor man, he was poor, that's bread, and wine, he's passed the test of the wealth, number one. Then he meets the king of Sodom. And the king of Sodom says, okay, just give me my people, and you take the property. And in Pasuk Chaf Dalet, towards the bottom, look what Avram Avinu says. He said, this is where we left off yesterday. Pasuk Chaf Gimel, 4 lines to the bottom. He says to him, Imichut ve'ad srochnal. I won't take a thread or a shoelace. V'im ekach mikol asher loch. V'lo tomar, don't say ani ha'asharti es Avram. I don't say I made Avram rich. Biladai, except rak asher ochla ne'orim v'chelek ha'anoshim asher olchikti. You got the people with me. I can't speak for them. Then you could pay. Aner eshkol mamrehim yuchelkam. Me, I don't want anything for you. So we left off with the question yesterday. Why was Avram Avinu willing to take payment from Paro, and here he wasn't willing to take payment from the king of Sodom? If you don't want the money from the non-Jewish king, so don't take any money. So why is it that Avram Avinu? Why is Avram Avinu? So there are 3 answers to this. Answer number 1 is that Avram Avinu, each one of the forefathers, the 3 forefathers, each one of them represented a separate trait, a separate positive trait. What was Avram's trait? Chesed. What was the people of Sodom, what was their trait? Cruelty. Avram Avinu doesn't want to take anything from the king of Sodom, because anything that I get from the king, chances are, how did the king get it? And I don't want to show any approval of your path in life. Therefore, I'm not going to take anything from you. Paro was a lowlife. A lot of lowlifes. Some become president, but it doesn't. Paro was a lowlife. But just because he's a lowlife doesn't mean he's cruel. But here, number 1, Avram Avinu doesn't want to take it from him because he feels that would be that would be some sort of confirmation of their path. I'm condoning your path in life by taking it. And there is a medrash that says that these 5 kings of Sodom and Amorah who were rotten, they used to prey on the people. The people preyed on each other, and the kings preyed on the people. So Avram Avinu doesn't want to take from them. That's number 1. Number 2, there's a concept of, the Gemara says that when something comes about through a miracle, don't benefit from miracle because it removes your merits. If a person, there are several stories in the Gemara where people were poor and miraculously money appeared for them, but they were warned, you better not touch it, because if you take from the miracle, if the miracle is perfect, it's going to reduce your merits. Paro, there were miracles done, but not regarding the actual. Sarah went there, and the Malach entered. The Malach entered, and Paro was afflicted. But there weren't blatant miracles. This was a war where he said yesterday he threw the dirt, and he killed them with the dirt. So Avram Avinu doesn't want to benefit from some profit that came about through a miracle. Number 3, and probably the most important of all, Avram Avinu feels that there's a danger. There, he wasn't involved. The angel got involved. Maybe we could get some airflow in here. Maybe, Sam, if you just open that door over there. We don't need the air conditioning, but just say thanks. What do you guys? Check the window. It's open. Okay, that should be enough if that door is open. Thank you, Sam. Avram Avinu feels there's always a danger. In Egypt, he didn't do anything. He just sat outside and he waited, and then the results were good results. So he wasn't involved. Here, he went to war. And there's a danger of where you talk about kochi ve'otzem yodi. I did it. I won the war. If I take the money for it, then it's acknowledging that I was involved in this, and that's a danger. Avram Avinu wants to make sure that we know that it was all done by the Ribono Shalom. It was all done as a result of prayer and the Jewish merit. And I don't want to have anything to do with. If I take money now, then it's not good for me. As well as I have nothing to do with it. You want to give me a gift? If you want to give me a gift, generally you're supposed to be saying, yeah, we do. What would you like? That's what you're supposed to. You missed that one. So, okay, we'll give you another chance some other time. If you want to give a gift, I'll take a gift. I didn't do anything. You gave me a gift, I'll take the gift. But if I go and I actually put in some initiative, then you're going to pay me. Then I'm going to say, hey, I did this and I did that and I did the other, and Avram Avinu doesn't want to fall into that trap. I'll tell you an unbelievable story I just saw recently. In 1977, they wanted to pass a law in Israel to permit abortions. There was an abortion law. So obviously the religious community was up in arms about it. They don't want to make an abortion law. So the minister, the minister of justice in Israel was a man named Shmuel. No, leave it. We're good like this. The minister, thank you, Shai. The minister of justice is a man named Shmuel Tamir. Shmuel Tamir is famous because he was the lawyer. If any of you ever read the book Perfidy, you should read it if you can't, because Perfidy is an expose about how the original Zionist leaders abandoned, leave that open, yes. The original Zionist leaders put down the thing. You have to put down the thing and keep it open. Thanks. The original Zionist leaders, Perfidy is an expose about how they abandoned the Jews in Europe, and to a certain extent they aided and abetted the Nazis. And there was a court case. And Shmuel Tamir was the lawyer. Now, he came from the extreme right. The original Zionist leaders from the extreme left. So there was some beef there to begin with. But he became a famous lawyer in this case that was in the early 60s, and eventually became the minister of justice. So he was the one pushing this law to make abortions legal in Israel, or more accessible. The religious community was upset. Now listen to this. They sent in a delegation of rabbis to speak to him. One of the rabbis who was in this delegation was a man named Rabbi Rabbi Levin. Have you seen the book in the library, A Tzaddik in Our Time? You ever heard the book, The Tzaddik in Our Time, my autobiography? You never saw that? Yeah, my autobiography. Yeah, yours. You guys are not good today. It's just going right. So the A Tzaddik in Our Time is about Rabbi Aryeh Levin. And Rabbi Levin was very in the beginning of the state when they were fighting for independence, and they were terrorizing the British, and the British would imprison certain of the Israeli freedom fighters. He would visit them in the prisons, and he was known as the tzaddik. They don't like books about just anybody and call him a tzaddik in our time. So Rabbi Aryeh Levin was their rabbi, and these guys were mostly secular. So his son, Rabbi Raphael Levin, was the son of Rabbi Levin. He was part of the delegation of rabbis who were come to speak to Mr. Shmuel Tamir about this abortion law. 3 days before the meeting, he called the other rabbis. He said, okay, now start davening. start davening that we should have success in this meeting to somehow get this law rescinded, this potential law. So, okay, for 3 days they daven. Then they go to meet Shmuel Tamir, and they introduce themselves, and he says, my name is Rabbi Levin. I'm the son of Rabbi Aryeh Levin. He says, the son of Rabbi Aryeh Levin? He was our rabbi, because Shmuel Tamir was also one of these guys. He was our rabbi. Even they were secular, but they all loved Rabbi Aryeh Levin. So they said, yeah, I'm his son. And I just want to tell you a story. Rabbi Levin says to Shmuel Tamir, I just want to tell you a story before we discuss what we're here for. My father, who you knew very well as a big tzaddik, was once sitting at home, and a couple came to him. The husband was in medical school. The wife was pregnant. She had fallen pregnant. And the husband, it did not fit his plans well. He wanted to have an abortion. And the wife did not want to have an abortion. They decided that they'll go to my father, and ask my father what to do, and they'll accept whatever he decides. So they came to my father, and my father convinced them and showed them how important it is to bring Jewish into the world, and to do an abortion, and what benefits you'll get, to take care of you when you're old, and so on and so forth. And so she stayed pregnant, and then she gave birth, and she had a baby. And the name of this baby was Shmuel Tamir. So Tamir turned white, and he picks up the phone on the spot, and he calls his mother, who was very old. He said, Mom, I just heard a story. Was I supposed to be aborted? That's a funny question to ask your mother. Mom, was I, did I just make it? And she says, well, you don't know how things were in those days. There's a lot of pressure. He hangs up the phone. He says, gentlemen, there will not be abortion law passed as long as I'm the Minister of Justice. Okay, because, it's, hello, sir, you should have been aborted. That speaks to somebody. Okay, so they walk out of the office, and these other rabbis said to Rabbi Raphael Levin, look, you knew that you had that story in your pocket, and you knew that when you tell him that story, there's no way he's going to go through it. Now, why did you call us 3 days in advance to daven? He said, you're making a big mistake, fellas. He says, it's not the story that did it. It's your davening that did it. Because a lot could have happened. Maybe he wouldn't go for the story. Maybe I'd forget the story. Who knows what would have happened? Don't make the mistake of thinking you did it. And that's what Avram Avinu was worried about over here. It's your davening that did it. Now, the story happened to be the way that we accomplished it. And therefore, Avram Avinu doesn't want to take the gifts. There should be no mistake over here. Okay. Now, go to turn all the way to Perek Tes Zayin. And this is a kind of you'll see where this leads up to, because this is talking about Shaya, open the air, please. Thank you. The fourth line. V'Sarai eshes Avram lo yoldalo. Sarai, the wife of Avram, did not bear a child. V'lo shifcha bitzris u'shma Hagar. Everybody say page 70. Sorry, page 70, 5 lines from the top. Sarai did not have a child, and she had an Egyptian maidservant named Hagar, which we are told was a daughter of Paro. That means when Paro in Mitzrayim was so impressed by Avram and Sarai that when they left, he gave him his daughter as a maidservant. According to some, it was a daughter from a concubine, but whatever it was, she is Paro's daughter. Now, Vatomer Sarai el Avram. So Sarai says to her husband, Hineina atzarani Hashem iledes. Hashem has stopped me from having children. Bona el shimchasi. Cohabit with my maid. Marry my maidservant. Ulai ibona mimena. Maybe I will become built up as a result of her. Vayishma Avram lekol Sarai. Avram obeys Sarai. Rashi says over here 2 things. First of all, where is it? Take a look at the right column of Rashi, 6 lines from the bottom. Avram obeys the voice of Sarah. Says Rashi, lekol Sarai. Everybody see that's the right column, 6 lines to the bottom. Leruach hakodesh sheba. Her ruach hakodesh. And Rashi later says that Sarai was at a higher level of prophecy. My mother, she lived and be well, always used to point this out to me. That especially since my wife's name is Sarah. He said, you should always listen. See, the women are at a higher level of Ruach HaKodesh in prophecy. I said, Mom, the Torah mentions the exceptions, not the rule. Right? That that's still an ongoing argument. So what do you call it? Now, what does Sarai want? She says, marry her, and I'll be built from her. How's Sarah going to build? You'll be built. You'll have children. What's it got to do with Sarah? So there are two approaches here. One approach is that Sarai says, listen, I can't have children. My goal was to be part of the build the nation, the Jewish people. I can't be involved physically, but she could produce the child, and I'll educate the child. I'll instill the values. I'll be the mother who instills, I'll be that part that instills the values. She'll provide the physical body, number one. Number two, Sarai feels, listen, I don't have children, my husband doesn't have children. Now, if I do something selfless and allow him to have children, maybe that'll be a merit that I myself will merit to have children. So she's going to do something which is the most selfless thing a woman could possibly do. A lot of things get a woman upset. But to give your husband another wife, and that takes some character. That takes some strength of character to give your husband another wife so that he can have children. And she suggested, and Avram says, okay, because she's got the Ruach, it's coming from Ruach HaKodesh. So what happens? Vatikach Sarai eshes Avram es Hagar HaMitzri shivchasa. She takes her maidservant. Miketz eser shanim l'sheves Avram be'eretz Canaan. Vatite nosel Avram isha lo isha. She gives Avram as a wife. Vayavo el Hagar vatahar. So Avram lives with Hagar, and she gets pregnant. Vatere ki harasa, vatekal gevirta beidea. She got pregnant. First of all, you notice it says vatahar. What does vatahar mean? She became pregnant. What's the root of the word vatahar? Har. No, pure, that's what the test. Har, mountain. She becomes mountainous. A woman who gets pregnant becomes a mountainous. Like Jiffy Pop. That's where the word comes from. Har, hara. She becomes a mountain. What are you laughing at? That's what happens to them. Boom, boom. It puffs up. That's where the word comes from. Vatahar. She becomes mountain-like. Then then one day she's due. I always talk about it. Well, when is she due? You ever hear that? So she's Mountain Dew. she becomes what do you call it? She becomes, they name a soft drink after her. Yahoo, Mountain Dew. Do you ever see the commercial? Yahoo! That's how they used to say that when we were growing up. The guy would get up there, Yahoo, Mountain Dew. They had a lot of caffeine. So it's got more caffeine than cola. Do you know that? Mountain Dew has more caffeine than Coke. How do you like that? Now that's an important fact. So so she gets pregnant. She gets pregnant. Vatekal gevirta be'eineha. How does our scroll translate it? Her mistress was lowered in her esteem. Now this is a maidservant. Notice the word be'eineha. Notice the word be'eineha. Let's read one more pasuk. Vatomer Sarai el Avram. Let's read one more pasuk. Sarai says to Avram, Chamasi alecha. I've got a complaint against you. The word chamasi is related phonetically to chametz. Chametz means it's soured. Our relationship here is soured. Anochi nasati shivchasi b'chekecha. I gave you my maidservant. Vatera ki harasa. She sees she became pregnant. Va'ekal be'eineha. She's now, I've lost esteem in her eyes. Yishpot Hashem be'ni u'v'necha. May Hashem judge between us. Sarah's saying to Avram, I got a complaint with you. Because she got pregnant. What was Hagar thinking? Hagar's thinking, hey, I've been hearing these rumors about Sarai being such a big tzaddikus. Well, she's been living with the man for 90 years and she hasn't got pregnant. I spent one night with him and I'm already pregnant. I guess she's not what she's cracked up to be. And Sarai feels, and then, does Hagar say it? She doesn't say it. What does the Torah say? Vatekal gevirta be'eineha. Sarah sees it in her eyes. Just the way she looks at her. Kind of like Kamala Harris in the debate. And I see it in your eyes. They're kind of that. You're getting a little gloaty over here. And her complaint against Avram Avinu is maybe you're kind of giving her that confidence, and therefore Sarah gets upset. So you know what Avram Avinu says? Now pay attention carefully. Vayomer Avram el Sarai hinei shivchasech biyadech. Avram says to her, here's your maidservant. Asila hatov be'inoich. Do whatever you want to do to her. Vate'anea Sarai vativrach mipaneha. Sarai, how does he translate it? Sarai dealt harshly with her, so she ran away. I mean, to deal harshly with a pregnant woman, that's pretty insensitive. What is the harsh? What kind of harsh? How harsh could she have dealt with her? What, she just start whipping her? What'd she do? What did she do? Hard work? Put her hard work? A pregnant woman, you're going to make her work harder? I'll tell you a very interesting insight into human nature. You could do a job, and you could do the same job, but you feel your status has changed. When Sarai puts her, she doesn't change anything. She says, Hagar, do you mind doing the laundry? Now to do the laundry, when she feels she's not really the person who should be doing the laundry, that's considered harsh treatment. You could do the same job, and if you feel a job could be done happily, and you could feel it's an affliction. It depends on who you are and what you see yourself as. If you're a lawyer out of law school and you take your first job and they send you for coffee, that's expected. But once you've been with the company for the company for 5 years, and then the boss says to you one day, "Hey, Hanan, do me a favor, we gotta get some coffee." Right? You're not gonna say no, but you're gonna do it. But now, when you're out of law school, you're happy to do it because you know that's what you're gonna be doing. But when you're 5 years and you're already working case, I'll say, "Hey, Hanan, do me a favor, give me some coffee, will you?" Like, same job. What changed? Nothing changed objectively. Just your attitude changed. A wife, 100% the same thing. You know, the Gemara says there was a Roman emperor said to one of the sages, he said, "Your God's a thief." He said to one of the sages, "Your God's a thief." Why? He says, put Adam to sleep, he stole a rib. Gave him a wife, he stole his rib. So the Roman emperor's daughter said, "I want to answer." And she got upset. He's knocking women, even her father, the emperor. She says, "Let me answer." She goes, "Dad, we had a thief came last night. He stole some silver utensils and he replaced them with the gold utensils." So her father says, "Oh yeah, invite him every night." She goes, "So listen to what you're saying. He took a rib and he gave him a maidservant to serve him." That's what the Roman emperor, the Gemara says she referred to the wife as a maidservant to serve the husband. So is she a maidservant or is she a wife? What is she? It all depends on how you treat her. A wife is thrilled, happy, overjoyed to serve her husband, to make him supper, to take care of him. All she needs is one thing, a little appreciation. A little appreciation. And if she feels you don't appreciate her, then she feels she's a maidservant. If you do appreciate her, she feels she's a queen who's serving the king. The trick is to get her to feel like a queen without spending money. But it's a big trick, right? But if at the end of the day, it's all about so the same job. What does it mean sorrow is afflicting her? Because I don't really think I should be doing this anymore. I'm not a maidservant. Oh, so she runs away. Now watch this. Pasuk Zayin. Vayimtza malach Hashem aleina mayim b'midbar. The angel of God finds her in the desert. Alein al ha'ayin b'derech shur. He finds her by the well. Vayomer by the spring. Vayomer Hagar shivcha Sarai. Hagar, Sarai's maidservant. Little reminder here, lady. He knows her name. Her name is Hagar. So why are you calling her Hagar, Sarai's maidservant? Just let's get this straight right off the bat. Who you are. Vayomer Hagar shivchas Sarai. Sarai's maidservant. Amy zebas v'anatei lechi. Where are you going? Where are you coming from and where are you going? Vatomer mipnei Sarai gevirti anochi borachas. I'm running away from Sarai, my mistress. She is already admitting it. She's already admitting it. So back, all right, we've already reset. He called her a maidservant and she's acknowledging she's a maidservant. Where are you coming from and where are you going to? Vayomer lo malach Hashem shuvi el gevirtech. He says, go back to your mistress, v'hisani tachazia, and get afflicted. You're a maidservant. You're a maidservant. No matter how big-headed you think you've gotten, that's who you are. We're going to find she never responds. he says to her, where are you coming from and where are you going? He said, I'm running away from him. I said, well, go back. What should she say? I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. Why doesn't she answer? Why did she answer, I don't want to go back? The answer to that, why she doesn't answer, is because he never asked her a question. That was a rhetorical question. He was saying to her, where are you coming from and where are you going to? He was saying to her, where are you coming from? You're coming from Avram Avinu's home. You're coming from a home of holy Kedusha, where people are focused on God. Where are you running off to? You're running back to Egypt where a bunch of idol worshipers? Think about where you were. This is something we all got to think about. You all got to think about this. If a person ever gets up and leaves yeshiva, I mean, one day you will. You're not going to be here for more than 12, 14 years. He laughs. He laughs. I'm still here. I came on a 1-week program. I'm still here. The 1 week is because that's what I expected that they would toss me after a week. They were good enough to keep me. But at the end of the day, where are you coming from and where are you going to? Think, lady. I'm not asking you a question. That wasn't a question that needs an answer. Not every question needs an answer. If your wife says to you, why did you just walk across the floor? I just washed it. You say, well, I had to go to the refrigerator to get an apple. Wrong. That wasn't a question, it was a statement. When your wife says to you, why did you just do that? Why did you just walk across the floor? It was a statement. You know what the statement was, Shia? You know what that statement was? That was a statement saying, you are an insensitive male boor. That's what the statement was. That's what Rashi says. Why did you do it is just because she's making a statement in question form. And what's the correct response? Silence. No. I'm sorry? Silence is the second response. I'm sorry. Klap al chet. I'm worse than the goat on Yom Kippur. You know, that's the correct response. He's not asking her a question. He's not asking her a question. He's making a statement. He says, where are you coming from and where are you going? Think, woman. You're running off to the desert. You're coming from Sarai and Hagar. You can learn so much. And you're running back to Egypt? That's where you're going? Go back. And then he says the following. 3 lines from the bottom. Watch this, gentlemen. This is one of the most, it's a shocker, but it's so real. I think I showed this to you a couple weeks ago, but every time I see it, you get the goosebumps. Vayomer lo malach Hashem, hinach hara. This either means you are pregnant or you will become pregnant, because according to one opinion, she miscarried. But the word hara, you are pregnant. 3 lines from the bottom, last word. Now, what are we studying right now? Called Torah. Why is Torah called Torah? It comes from the Hebrew word moreh. What's a moreh? A teacher. Torah is to teach us, is hora'ah, is to teach. That means that when we study Torah, it's like the word hara comes from the same root. When you study Torah, it plants a spiritual seed in us. When a woman is pregnant, hara, it plants a physical seed in her. So Torah and hara and pregnancy, it's all the same. It's all coming from the same place. So he says to her, you're pregnant, or you will become pregnant. The allotted ben, v'karas shemo Yishmael. You will name him Yishmael. Now this word Yishmael breaks into 2, which is Yishma Kel. The God will listen. So the Torah here says why? Ki shama Hashem es onyech. Hashem has heard your affliction. Therefore you're going to name him Yishmael. The Medrash says, you know why he's called Yishmael? Because in the end of days, his descendants are going to torment the Jewish people. And the Jewish people are going to cry out to Hashem in prayer. And Yishma Kel, Hashem will hear our prayer against those people, his descendants, whoever his descendants happen to be. Whoever his descendants happen to be. And Hashem will hear us crying out because of what they're doing to us. That means that, again, it all goes back to tefillah. It all goes back to prayer. And what is the nature of this Yishmael? V'hu yepere Adam. Take a look at the Art Scrolls translation. On page 71. Look at the last 2 lines. Should be a wild man. Yado bakol v'yad kol bo. His hand will be on everybody, but everybody's hand will be set against him. Ve'al pnei kol echav yipol. and Yishkod, and he will dwell over all his brothers. Now, if you look at the Targum Onkelos, look at it. First of all, Rashi, let's read Rashi, and let's see Targum Onkelos, and then we're going to see what this wild man is. Look at the left column of Rashi, bottom line. Left column of Rashi, bottom line. Yodo Bakol. List him. Be a bandit. Be a robber. Culturally, in the surrounding culture where we live here in the Middle East, if you steal from somebody, not us, them, when they steal, it's your fault. What'd you make yourself so vulnerable for? Now, you're a nerd for letting me steal it. If I was able to steal it, you deserve to get ripped off. You ever negotiate in the Arab shuk? How much do you want for it? 600. I'll give you 20. Okay. If you ever get, guys, you should not ride Arab cabs, but if you ever ride in Arab cabs, always ask them to put on the meter. Otherwise, you're going to get scalped. And they're notorious for it. They're notorious for what he called. I knew a guy, a story, my brother told me this because my brother was involved. There was a guy, my brother was in Telstone. You ever been to Telstone? Telstone's about 20 minutes outside Yerushalayim. So they said, my brother's walking at night, I think he was going to Marv, and he sees some guy on the sidewalk with a suitcase. And the guy says to my brother, where is Eliyahu Hanavi Street in Bnei Brak? So my brother says to him, I need 27 Eliyahu Hanavi Street in Bnei Brak. Where is it? So my brother says to him, well, there is an Eliyahu Hanavi Street in Bnei Brak, but you're not in Bnei Brak, you're in Telstone. And he says to him, no, I'm in Bnei Brak. My brother says, well, I've been living here 35 years, and I'm pretty sure this is Telstone. What happened? This guy was a French tourist who took an Arab cab from Yerushalayim, and he told the guy, I need 37 Street, 37 Eliyahu Hanavi in Bnei Brak, which is about an hour drive. And the Arab picked up that this guy was clueless, so he drove to Telstone, which is about 25 minutes away, let him off, pointed to a building, and he said, that's 37 Eliyahu Hanavi Street. The guy got out, and while he was getting his suitcase from the baggage, he happened to have left his jacket draped over the seat, so the Arab helped himself to his wallet also. It was a bad night for that guy. And so, and there he was. And my brother invited him into the house, gave him a drink, and then sent him off on his way to Eliyahu Hanavi Street. That culturally, it's perfectly okay. Rashi says they're listim. Yodo bakol, his hand will be on everybody, be a bandit. But look at the Onkelos. Onkelos goes straight to the left into the block print. This is the Targum Onkelos, the Aramaic translation. In Onkelos says, if you see Pasuk Yud Beis, if you find it, please show the person next to you in the Onkelos. You see Pasuk Yud Beis in the Onkelos? Anybody doesn't see it, please show it, but you have to see the words inside. In Onkelos says, V'hu yehe morod be'enosha. He will be the rebel among mankind. Hu yehe tzarich lekoila. He will need everybody. The yada de kol b'nei anosha yon tzrich, and everybody's going to need him. What do the Saudi Arabians need from the rest of the world? Just about everything. What does the world need from the Saudi Arabians? Oil. Okay? That's it. Everybody. He's going to need everybody, and everybody's going to need him. Ve'al ape kol achye yishrei. And Rashi says everybody's going to hate him. Hakol sonim oso umizgar. Everybody's going to hate him, and they're going to be at odds with him. Which, like one of the senators said in America when somebody got up in the Senate, and he said, not all Muslims most Muslims are not terrorists. This guy got up and said, yeah, but most terrorists are Muslims. So, let's face it, when you're traveling, you get on a plane and you see guys with kafiyas getting on the plane with you, it's like, I hope somebody checked these guys. Right? That's what goes through. Let's call a spade a spade. That's what goes through our mind because that's who they are. Now, watch this. I'm not making anything up. You think it's me. It's not me. I'm only telling you I'm only telling you the truth. It says, look at the bottom. Look at what he's described as. V'hu yeh pera adam. He's going to be a wild man. Now, in English, what comes first in English, the adjective or the noun? What? In English. The adjective. The nice man. He's a big man. He's a fast man. Right? The adjective comes before a noun. What about in Hebrew? The opposite. The noun comes before the adjective. Adam tov, Adam yafeh, Adam gadol. If you want to describe a wild man in Hebrew, how should you say it? Adam pera. So why does it reverse it here? He says pera Adam. Why is he a pera Adam? He should be really an Adam pera. No? Isn't that true? The answer is, which is the noun and which is the adjective? The noun is pera. He's going to be a wild. What kind of wild? We don't have that word in English. It's just a word. He's going to be a wild. What kind of wild? A human wild. As opposed to a wildlife wild. And the nature is, we see, look, we see it. We see it. It's pretty obvious. That's what the Torah is getting at over here. That means it certainly looks human, but there's certain behavior that is certainly not human, that they are described as wild animals. So he's a human being as an adjective, but the noun is that he's a wild. It's frightening. Okay, now go back for a second. Go back to, I didn't know if we'd have time for this, we do. Go back to Perek Yud Gimel Pasuk Tes Zayin. Perek Yud Gimel, all the way back. 13:16. It's page 60. Page 60. No. Wrong plate. Wrong one. Sorry, wrong one. Where is that? 15:5. 15:5. My bad. Tesvav Hey.
66.
What page? 66? Thank you. Okay. So this is where after the war, on page 64. So God comes to Avram Avinu and he says, Avram, you're going to have a lot of reward. And then Avram Avinu says, yeah, what can you possibly give me? But I'm going childless. So what does Hashem say to Avram Avinu? He says, I'm going to have children and they're going to inherit the land. And then in the middle of the page, look at the middle of the page. Vayotze oso hachutza, pasuk hey, right in the middle of the page. God takes Avram outside. Vayomer habetna hashamayim, look up at the heavens. Usvar hakochavim im tuchal isvar, count the stars if you could. Count the stars. Vayomer lo ko yezerecha, that's what your offspring is going to be. You go out at night and you look up and you start counting stars. And you'll notice, all of a sudden you start noticing more. Have you ever done that? If you ever done that, you kind of look at the sky to count the stars, and then you start just noticing little smaller dots and smaller dots, and you can't possibly count them. There are too many stars out there. That's what your offspring is going to be like. That's the plain meaning. Now, there's only one problem. It's impossible. So why does God say, Avram Avinu, go out and count the stars? It's impossible to count the stars, right? That's going to be impossible to count the Jewish people. They're going to be, number one, they're going to be scattered all over the place. Number two, they're going to be as multitudinous as the stars. Okay, that's the plain meaning. There's only one problem here. The problem is that this is the first thing is that we learn a lesson about how we're supposed to approach God. This is a command to Avram Avinu. What do you think Avram Avinu did at this point? What did Avram Avinu do? After Hashem, let me ask you a question. Hashem said, go out and count the stars if you could. What do you think Avram Avinu did? Start counting the stars. 1, 2, 3, 4. But you're not going to be able to do it. But that's an attitude. It's not our job to figure out if we could do it or not. It's our job to try. Don't worry about if you could or not logically. Do what you were told to do. Try, make the effort. And then when we make an effort, we find out that sometimes our efforts are blessed. And by natural law, it would be, the Panovich Rav. You've heard of the Panovich Yeshiva? The Panovich Rav built the Panovich Yeshiva after the war. And everybody said to him, you're dreaming. He said, I'm dreaming, but at least he said, I may be dreaming, but I'm not sleeping. And he went in, and they said, all the naysayers said you can't do it. And he did it. There we have the Panovich Yeshiva. Not only that, he built this Panovich, a massive structure, a massive edifice. He built it with, have you ever been to Panovich? There are no doors at the front. It's a wide open entrance over there. He wanted to have a yeshiva where hundreds of boys would be able to go in and out at the same time. Hundreds of boys. There were maybe 200 yeshiva students in the whole of Israel at the time. And he went ahead and he tried doing it. When he tried doing it, it got accomplished. So there's a medrash that says a guy walks into the base medrash, and he takes a look at the shelf, and he says, "Wow, there's an awful lot of Torah to learn. How can anybody ever finish all of that? Look at that whole big blue set over there. And then there's the brown set, and then there's the Rambam and Mishnayos and the Zohar. How can anybody ever?" And he says, "You know what? I'll learn 2 halachas today and 2 halachas tomorrow, and eventually I'll learn the entire Torah." Gentlemen, do the math. You do 2 halachas today, 2 halachas tomorrow, you're not going to finish the entire Torah. You're going to finish the entire Torah. So what do? You start. And once you start, you say, hey, this is a lot bigger than I thought. All right, but I started. So you try. And as you go on, you're not going to finish the entire Torah. None of us are going to finish the entire Torah. Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky didn't finish the entire Torah, but at least we did as much as we could. That's like counting the stars. So the Medrash says, you know what's it comparable to? A guy walks into a room and he sees a loaf of bread dangling from the ceiling. Apparently the guy's hungry. There's a loaf of bread dangling from the ceiling. The first guy walks in, he says, that's impossible. I'm hungry. How can I possibly get up there? And he leaves. The second guy walks in, he says, hey, somebody put it up there. If somebody was able to put it up there, I could get it down from there. So he takes one pole and another pole, attaches them. By us, a loaf of bread doesn't mean anything. But if you would walk into this room and you saw a $100 bill glued to the ceiling, let's say it's a high ceiling, you think you'd be able to get it? Yeah. Oh yeah. You'll figure it. One way or another, you'll figure it out. It's like Dr. J. Remember Dr. J? A reporter once asked him if he could touch, he was a great jumper. Can you touch the top of the backboard? Wanted to know if he could jump as high, touch the doctor. The doctor said, put a $20 bill up there, we'll all find out. That'll do it. So, it's up on the ceiling. But if you understand that if somebody did it, there's a Torah. We have to learn the Torah. So it's impossible. That's idea number 1. There's a fabulous idea. I saw one of the other commentaries says like this. He took Avram Avinu out during the daytime. We see later on the sun starts setting. That means it's daytime. And he says, look up at the sky, count the stars. During the daytime? Count the stars? How can you count stars during the daytime? Can't possibly count the stars. Why not? Why can't you count the stars during the daytime? Because the sun is shining. As one of the commentators said, the stars isn't referring to the Jewish people. The stars is referring to the nations. The stars is referring to the nations of the world. That you look out, we're outnumbered, gentlemen. Jews make up, I don't know, what percentage of the population? 0.2. We're not 0.2% of the world population. There are something like that. There are 8 billion people in the world. There are about 15 million Jews. We're not at 0.2. We're not at point. What are we? 0.02.
No, we're 0.2.
It's 0.2.
But it's still like 15 million people.
15 million. We're at point. Okay, we'll call this a 0.2. Okay, we're a 0.2. Right? We missed the 3. We hit the 2. Okay, so we're a 0.2. At the end of the day, when you look in the news, if you ever read Time magazine seems to be a who's who in the Jewish world. The business news is about Jews. Politics is about Jews. I mean, here she is, what do you call it? The loser over there is married to a Jew, right? Somehow a Jew got into this.
Hollywood.
And Trump's grandchildren are Jewish. And his son and his daughter, the Jews are always there. Hollywood is Jewish. So entertainment is Jewish. Crime is Jewish. There's Bernie Madoff. We got to the top of the league there too. Yeah, and sports is all Jewish, not the players. Not the players. The agents and the owners and the fans in the box seats. They're all Jewish. We're way out of proportion. And then they get to the Nobel Prize. Do you know that 25% of Nobel Prize winners have been Jewish? 25%. We don't make up 25% of the world. That means we're the sun. that we kind of dominate. But that's especially when we are behaving. I told you, my wife asked me this morning, is it good news for the Jews? Is it good news for the Jews that Trump won? I said to her, if the Jews are good, then it'll be good news for the Jews. And if the Jews are not good, then it makes no difference who won. And it really made no difference who won. By me, it was a sporting event. It was just a question of I was rooting for one side as opposed to the other side because I can't stand the other side. So I was just rooting for one side. Does you think it really matters? There's a pasuk that says, Leiv melech biyad Hashem. Hashem controls the heart of the king. And what's the heart of the king based on? What does that control? Based on us. It doesn't make a difference. Well, you really think it makes a difference? It doesn't make a difference. If we're good, it'll be good for the Jews. And if we're not good, nothing's going to help us. No one in the world can help us. And it could go, his wishy could be, I don't know how good it is. Yes, he's objectively good. I don't know, it's good. They just lost, you know how powerful he is now? He's got both houses now. He's a very powerful man. He's a very powerful, he got the Senate, he's got Congress, and he's the president. He's in a very, I don't know if that's such a great thing, because now he can do whatever, he can really do whatever he wants. So, is it good for the Jews? If we're good, it'll be good for the Jews. And if we're not good, nothing else matters anyway. All right.